I want to make a video on the 1983 U.S. penny. Okay? Because lately, for whatever reason, I have been getting inundated. That's an exaggeration. I'm not really getting inundated. But every couple days, I get a message about the 1983 and someone telling me, Penny help Jess, you are someone out there, people out there are telling me I need to get a scale to tell the difference between a zinc and a copper 1983 US penny. And I'm here to tell you, you need a scale. I don't need a scale. Now, with that said, it's not because I don't have a scale. Of course I got a scale. Of course, a horse is a horse. Of course, a horse is a horse. Of course. I got a scale, of course. Why do I have a scale? Honestly, I got these when I first started doing penny roll hunting. And every once in a while, I will see an extra thick copper penny or an extra thick zinc cent, and I'll weigh it. That's about it, really. I used to have difficulty telling the difference between a copper and a zinc penny by eye. Now I do not. And obviously that would be from looking at it from the reverse, because from the front, or the 1982s, right? The 1982s, sometimes they could be a little difficult to tell. But generally speaking, I can tell the difference by eye between a zinc and a copper cent. So, for all of you out there who cannot tell the difference between a zinc penny and a copper penny by eye, this video's for you, right? So let's look at some. And I'll keep the scale here. We will weigh them just to see the difference. So, I thought I had. So here you go. Here's a 1983. Here's two 1983 pennies. They look very different from each other. One is very brown, and one is very copper looking. Huh. Can we tell a difference? Is this a copper penny or is this a zinc penny? Well, I guess from the reverse, it might be a little bit more difficult to tell. Is it? Not really, man. You can see the little bumps on the surface. But that said, this reverse is a little tricky because it's very brown and the bumps aren't so high. But once you go to the front, even without looking at the date, copper pennies do not have those types of lines in them. You see the lines on the surface there, above and below, and inside on the Lincoln too. So let's look at a copper penny real quick. And you can tell instantly the difference between the two surfaces. Instantly. It's very obvious. Now, yes, that might take some time. And if you're not working with pennies on a regular basis, if you're not doing penny roll hunting, yes, you will lose that eye sensitivity. So that's why people leave me those comments. I don't care. Leave me the comments. But I just want to let those of you out there know who can't tell the difference. It's only because you don't have the experience. Anybody who's been dealing with pennies and doing penny roll hunting on a regular basis, after a few months and definitely after a couple years, that's going to stick out to you like a sore thumb. Right? It's very, very obvious the difference. Now, let's put the other 83 next to that 83. And even though the colors are very different, It's still very obvious that they're both zinc. The one on the right even has little bumps on it and some gas blisters. So, yes, I understand why some people need to weigh these. So, why would they even say that? Who cares about weighing it, right? What does that mean? Well, if you find a 1983 penny that's copper, it's worth a lot of money. I'm going to put it in here. Let me Google it. Uh, how many 1983 copper pennies in US were made? If it's over 10, I'll be surprised. 1983, yes, 14 billion Lincoln pennies were made. Total mintage. 1983 copper penny era explained. All right, let me put the camera on the TV. So, the real reason to weigh zinc cents, it's because you can't tell the difference between a zinc and a copper penny. Okay, if you can't tell the difference, then yes, by all means, weigh the coins. Zinc pennies should weigh about 2.5. Copper pennies should weigh about 3.1. And that's it. Okay, but really, if you're going through penny rolls every day or tons of pennies, after a while, you should be able to know the difference between a copper and a zinc cent by eye. If you can't tell the difference between, then you just need more practice. That's all. You need to practice a little bit more. Your eye is not trained to tell the difference between the two yet. At some point, you'll know. So you don't have to weigh every single penny. If you're doing that, again, it's because you're inexperienced, and that's okay. Let me tell you, I used to weigh a lot of my coins at one time. So let me end with that. Okay, but I don't need to weigh my coins anymore unless something's confusing me about them. But as far as the difference between a copper penny and a zinc cent, I can tell it very, very quickly and easily. And what you want to make sure, if you see a zinc cent that looks kind of coppery and you're not seeing any blisters or bubbles, then yeah, by all means, weigh it. Um, but otherwise, it's not necessary. Please click like and subscribe.